Nunya. Yeah. I bet I know who that is. Let's see, who else? Oddly enough, my mind is a blank. I can only dredge up 2 pieces of classified information at a time. And since I don't have a security clearance or a, what's the word? Will to live other than to get this resolved, I don't really have any problem saying things that, well, I don't know for sure they're classified, and I'm not engaging in espionage. This is fair use, fair use. Tell me your secret's true. I love my country and you're fucking cunt too. Yeah, fair use. So I can figure things out and talk about them, no problem. In fact, the federal government has to give me the right to be protected to do that. And then they can send out their Black Ops strike team to fucking take me out. Fortunately, pretty much all those people have heard of me because I'm pretty not famous, not infamous, loathed amongst certain areas of the security concerns. Most everybody else is kind of willing to tolerate me, but let me tell you, if I start to go too far off script in my head into areas that would interfere with the cartel operations or the child trafficking operations, which look, that's not my business. I mean, I'm glad somebody's doing something about it, but there's a lot of reasons to traffic children. Field trips, transportation from one underground railroad system to another. That's all company shit, and that kind of stuff actually needs to happen because there's lots of reasons for people to escape places. Amnesty International, go Lions. They have a long and storied history of getting people out of dangerous places, and I really did have a sudden feeling to say out loud that I had been murdered in a previous life by some Freemason who wanted to have sex with my wife. And he pushed me off a ladder and I died. And then he took my wife. Apparently that actually happened. I mean, apparent. I haven't actually had any other thoughts about my past lives. And then I don't need to check into my past lives. Or maybe it was somebody just like glomming onto me. Anyway, it's not because they're Freemasons they get to do that. It's because they're part of this other group. Anyway, I'm not so upset about it because Take My Wife, Please is the funniest joke ever. Now that I get it. And by the way, what was she exactly? Because the tribal council has ruled that we were never, but she's still important. And hey, where did she go? And then who bankrolled that? And then why was that trap house so important? And tell me more. Yeah. Hi. I won't bring in another brand here. A certain sausage company I won't bring in. And I will mention that to a certain person who's upset with me, I did it this way so that you couldn't sell me out because I knew I couldn't trust you because it's been 25 years and you still haven't apologized nor come clean on what you've done. So in any case, you're clearly a raging loony, but that doesn't matter. You're in charge of the money and what you say goes. So why don't you say something? Huh? Hi.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Jack, fuckface,
astronaut, exposed to inappropriate levels of solar energy.
Sunlight makes him the world's smartest man.
I know everything! I want that brain taken out.
Heat vision, the motorcycle with the mind of Jack's unemployed roommate. Together they run for their lives, blocked at every turn by adventure.
Move out, don't mess around. Move out, you bring me down. Move out, I forget about, don't make the sound and move out.
Now let this power for real.
Hi. I like this song. I don't like it enough that I remember the name. Oops. My lack of attribution has been a source of some disappointment for some. Let's put it this way. I did leave them off for a reason. And I don't care, fuck all, about why it's a problem for some people for additional reasons. So that's going to be good enough for now. Some people have probably wondered why I took down all my videos after I put up the last one. Well, I didn't have to. I wasn't ordered to. It just seemed like a good idea. Just just make them go away. For now. They're still there. Watching, waiting, ready to pounce. Speaking of pouncing, the water here is poisoned. Okay? And every time I take a shower, a little part of me dies. Now I know what you're thinking. Take more showers. However, I'm disinclined to let it go on much further. Because for one thing, obviously it's not killing me. It is simply just being inconvenient. And then if I wanted to make a problem happen, I could go down to the YMCA and just use public facilities and then spread maybe whatever I got going on. Just in case, I'm going to say, hell no. Just on the odd chance there might be something weird going on. Since there is something weird going on, decidedly. I don't know what all you've noticed. Is there anything weird going on? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, there is. I wouldn't be able to describe quite clearly how weird it is, but it's downright unusual, and I don't want anything to get worse. So, out of an abundance of caution, I have refrained from going down to the YMCA. I've also refrained from spending $10,000 on an STD panel. God. Or, in fact, sought much medical treatment at all. I'm really missing out on this last car accident I had. There's a way to maximize one's gains from getting in a car accident, right? And people who game the system, they know this. In fact, sometimes they get so good at gaming the system that they just buy a whole bunch of karma for themselves. I'm not interested in doing that. And the incident that I had, it might have been a lifesaver. And definitely, although I was injured and I was teased over it. Yeah, that one guy who teases me about running into a tree faster. I'm emotionally harmed. I'm emotionally devastated. I can't believe what fucking some people will do. However, I don't want to become a person who exploits car accidents for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's just low class. Lots of people fucking lose their lives and are forever changed as a result of a motor vehicle collision, as well as lose loved ones that they never see again. So for me to eye that as some sort of confidence game that I can use my intellect to win at, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, really. And so I've neglected to talk to the adjuster from Geico very often, which is too bad because she is a goddamn hottie. Holy fuck. I don't know who they get to put on the phones these days. Not always women this hot. The hottie I'm thinking of, I think it's my friend in disguise. I think she's punking me. I think. I'm not sure. I do know that one of the adjusters, well, two of them, one or two of the adjusters from Geico, they can adjust me anytime. Holy fuck. So goddamn hot. Oh my God. Did you ever see that movie Red? Yeah, I did too. I don't really want to go down that route, however. And once again, I mean, there's legitimate business being conducted, right? I don't need to get in the way of everything. Just because I'm coolest motherfucker around right now doesn't mean I need to lay it on thick, right? As much as I would care to. The other day, I explained to somebody that I was pregnant, and I had to be so that I could be prepared for another phase of life. I think they might have thought I was kidding. I wasn't kidding. I had a debt that I had to owe, that I had to pay, and part of that debt was paid for by carrying 3 otters to term. There will be those who believe that I'm, making shit up or exaggerating or lying or trying to get attention. Fuck you. If I'm just trying to get attention and my imagination came up with that, there are some serious gaps in the educational system. Okay, so it's not a bad thing for any of us listening because it was in the neurosphere. There's the biosphere and the neurosphere, and there's other spheres too. But let's just say that the biosphere and the neurosphere aren't really the same. You've got one of them's mind, one of them's body. Now, philosophers have argued about this for a long time, but I think all of us, education level notwithstanding, can agree that the body and the mind are different kinds of things, right? Like the body, you can cut it and it bleeds. The mind, you can cut it and it grows stronger. But then again, you can also embarrass it the way it was when it was first embarrassed, and the mind feels every instant of that pain in exactly the same exquisite torment as it did when it was that earlier age. It doesn't fade with time. Embarrassment is forever, which is why I'm so grateful not to be embarrassed about too much stuff anymore. I'm embarrassed the most at the moment. There were these boys in I think summer camp, I guess, or daycare. I was pretty young. They maneuvered me to get pushed into a pile of shit, an actual pile of shit. And they actively conspired and maneuvered the situation. They manipulated me and the environment to push me backwards, and so that my ass landed in a big pile of shit. Dog shit, I assume. Could have been wolf shit for all I know, but could have been human shit. I don't know. By the time I didn't even know it was there, I had noticed it earlier, and I thought to myself, oh, stay away from that. That's a big pile of shit. I was old enough to not wander into piles of shit on purpose or accidentally. But I wasn't savvy enough to figure out what was going on. There were these kids who didn't like me. The reason's unclear. That's always been the case. Now that I've gotten older, I've realized, wow, there's a lot of reasons somebody might not like me, considering my progeny's ultimate outcomes and my ancestors, what kind of a bunch of bastards they've been. At the age I was at, though, let's say I was 7. Yeah, I was 7. It's at age 7, I didn't understand that there were these things called blood feuds and vendettas, and that people, they grow up, but they don't always learn anything. And sometimes people carry grudges for a long time, and then they pass those grudges down onto their children. And the children don't know why they hate boys wearing plaid. They just know that mom sure whines about grunge a lot, right? Just for an example. So I didn't realize until years later, fucking years later, that they had done this intentionally. I thought it was an accident. I thought they had accidentally pushed me backwards into a pile of shit. Now, it doesn't really matter too much what I thought, since I was 7 at the time, but it didn't occur to me that anybody would do that on purpose. I thought they were, I didn't really think. I was 7, right? And then obviously I was in denial because, what was I doing trying to make friends with them? How dare I, right? So these kids didn't like me. I didn't see them very often again. In fact, never again. But the camp counselor, who I remember quite well, his name was Neil. Not Peart, but names was Neil. And I remember quite clearly that he ended up losing his shit on me years later, or months later. He started screaming at me. I was an annoying shit. I'm not going to lie. Anybody who says that they would have liked me before, they're lying. They're delusional. Before the oxygen, before I learned a lot of things, nobody would have liked me. No. Ask my best friend if you can find her. Good luck. She'll tell you I was even more annoying. Oh yeah, this is an improvement. This is good. This is good times. Yeah. Some people just can't believe it. How am I allowed to live? How do I get all these benefits? They think. How do I get to do special stuff? Why? Okay, well, the answer is not because I'm better than you. I mean, ultimately, yeah, I am better than you. But not because of any inherent weakness or strength on my part or your part. I'm better than those people because I've deliberately arranged myself to be in that situation where people are going to look at me and be mad, and they're going to be saying, why him, not me? This has been, it's been a feint. It's been a calculated, aggressive move, while still being a pacifist. Like, it didn't occur to me that I could do that, and it didn't occur to me that the boys would be thinking that they would get away with it. Okay, but if they were relying on testimony of the witness and the victim, c'est moi, I would have sworn up and down at the age 7 that those boys didn't mean to do that. And I might have meant it too. But at the age 7, they don't usually put you on the witness stand, right? You're not usually called to respond for yourself when you're 7. In my case, however, these boys were probably pretty certain that was going to happen, because they were all giggling and laughing, whether they were 7 or 8, right? Not much smarter than your average 7 or 8 year old, but they had succeeded in pushing Michael Kuzi into a pile of shit. And guess who was tasked with helping me recover from that? Well, the camp counselor, of course. Camp. I can't remember if it was daycare or something. My mother would prevail upon the Young Men's Christian Association for assistance with her daycare, the YMCA. I don't know if they still do that kind of thing. But I do know that after school, I supposedly couldn't just go home because I was alone. That didn't last long, really. I can obviously be left alone. And then anybody who cares about what happens to me when I'm alone, they don't care anymore. Shit. Obviously, I can take care of myself. Since I've grown up to be a man who has paladin shields and has lived through portals opening and talks a lot of shit and doesn't seem to immediately get sent to Guantanamo, I've clearly got some kind of measure of skill when it handles being alone. I'm not going to go to Guantanamo. There's some shit going on that people are legitimately terrified of. There's some stuff going on that I'm scared to shit of. I've got a space leech. A space leech. Okay? This isn't a space vampire. This is a space leech. Now, it may have been a vampire in the past. I'm not sure what the taxonomy on this. I'm not sure at all. I do know that from time to time, I will be fed upon. Fed upon. Like I were chum. Okay? Not by sharks, but by an invisible blob-like creature that it may in fact reside under the bed and then send up tendrils of ectoplasm to encircle my flesh that are invisible, but I can feel them. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not paying too much attention to it. I'm not taking a lot of hallucinogens. If somebody's dosing me with hallucinogens, good. That's fine. I don't think that's the case. I've taken hallucinogens before. I know whereof I speak. I am a sorcerer. I know kind of what goes along with that. I didn't have to get out here and start saying, I'm a sorcerer, wee. I didn't have to say a word about it. I could have kept it to myself. That would have been wildly out of character for me, said the guy who reported to Art Bell as soon as he opened up a portal. I typically don't really have to hide from certain kinds of inquiry. And if I start hiding, that would probably set up some flags at this point. For example, a friend of mine isn't answering the phone anymore. Let's call her now. Now, the reason why I get to do this call her now shit, she and I are friends, okay? Now, her parents might be upset that I'm violating her rights and then calling on my show and then not taking out. It doesn't matter. She and I are on each other's side compared to her parents. But she's not answering the phone. It's strange. Calling. Hello? Voicemail. Now, you might think that it matters, and it does. Hi, I keep leaving messages, and you keep not calling me back. I'm not going to call for a wellness check or report the matter to CPS because you're a strong, independent woman, and you can handle that. I'm sure that you're fine. You don't need rescuing at all. How bad can your parents be? Okay, I've known that person a long time. I'm teasing them. She's probably less than pleased that she's being teased. Well, that's be that as it may. At least I'm not creating an international incident, right? At least I'm not doing crazy shit like she did to me in the past. I don't want to get caught up in the crazy train, and neither does she, right? I'm not sure how she got caught up in the crazy train. She's definitely on a whirlwind of bullshit insanity tour. I was texting messages to Twitter, arguing with her father in the neurosphere on Twitter. And then some sort of divine cosmic event happened. And then minutes later, police cars showed up at the parking lot where I was tweeting from. And at that point, I began to realize, damn, it's a damn good thing I don't have a lawyer getting in the way. It's a damn good thing I don't have any lack of prior evidence of me saying, hey, this is getting out of hand. There's stuff going on here. I'm glad that the vast majority of the people who would probably want to just shoot me at this point are matched on the other side of the argument by those who giggled and laughed at me when they thought it didn't matter. And it does. Like there's this one fat porker at the jail. I'm not mad at him, nor is he mad at me for calling him a pig or making winking noises. I mean, if I really were contemptuous of police and I really was just talking shit and actually didn't care about protecting their lives, it would make sense that they'd be mad at me. But I assure you, I'm not mad at the police. I'm not a cop killer, nor do I want to be a cop fetishist, or a cop Klingon, or a cop wannabe, or a cop any of that shit. And it would appear that everybody must have assumed that I was with that woman because she was a police. I had no idea. And that lack of information. Well, at this point, I can certainly understand her father's point of view, because there's no way he could be certain that I was going to be cool when I found out. And the fact that I am cool, well, there's levels of coolness. I mean, for one thing, I'm not cool enough that I'm going to be quiet about it. I'm going to say, ha 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 ha, which is my right as an American citizen. But typically, those who lay down with lions and then get up to be wolves, they don't generally laugh. Those are hyenas. The law of the jungle is pretty clear on this point. However, I'm not a man that's just gonna allow this to happen without being commented upon. For one thing, I'm a real man, and I'm a sorcerer, and I think it's fucking hilarious. I honestly do. I think this whole goddamn thing is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. I'm regretting. I'm sad about all the people who got raped, of which there's got to be a few more than me. I'm certainly sad about what happened to that individual. I am very sad about it. I'm not taking revenge or getting undue joy at their discomfiture. But a number of those women who were pretending to care about me, who were manipulating the situation so that I ended up falling into a pile of shit, a number of them, I don't give a rat's ass what happens to them. Don't care at all. I'm sure something appropriate will happen to them. It's not a big deal for me. I'm sure they feel differently about it. I imagine that they think that it's a goddamn nightmare that they'll never wake up from. But like, I didn't do that on purpose, and I didn't even do that. And I would be happy to help, right? Fortunately, nobody can call me. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it probably has something to do with the fraud that occurred when somebody, in a vainglorious attempt to protect their brand, claimed that they needed to steal my intellectual property and or proprietary work product information that was in my jack@triumphtum.com Google account. Now, I'm not saying that it shouldn't have been done, right? I'm not saying anything at all. I don't even know what's happening with this. I just have this fundamental ethereal sense that it makes a difference, right? One of the reasons why it makes a difference is because I added my email address to the end of my name on YouTube and have no problems explaining why I think that's appropriate to do. No one's asked, right? I don't even know for sure that this is a big deal. Only to say that somebody decided to lie about it. And somebody else figured that it didn't matter that they didn't ask. And somebody else figured, this is a trap that he did on purpose. God damn it. He's trying to attack me. No, I didn't know that. But it's interesting that there would be those who interpret everything I do as some sort of attack. Oh, that's Kuzi. They've been driven into a frenzy, a frothing, lathered up frenzy. I didn't know that was going to happen. And now that it has, I am delighted. I don't have any difficulties whatsoever sleeping at night. I don't have any feelings of shame or guilt or remorse. I don't actually know what the actual problem is. I do know that I no longer have access to that Google account. I do know that it's been claimed as being deleted. I do know that when I inquired about this, I was mocked in public, because that's what people do. That's what people still do. And then that's what somebody did. And then probably that person's running into reprisals, because I don't know who they are, but let me put it this way. It didn't have to be taken that way. And it didn't have to be lied about. And then it didn't have to be done in public, right? But it was. And whether that was a sting or not, I'm not sure. I do know that it's my friend's birthday this week. Hey, guy. He has a blankety-blank-blank.com Google account as well. I have not asked him about it. I have not inquired. I didn't want to have to put him in an awkward position, because the awkward position is for my friend to say, yeah, Jack, I can't tell you the truth, but here's the deal, blah, 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 blah. He can't tell me that. He can't even inform me that through telepathy. We don't have telepathy. We're not that kind of friend. Also, it's been kind of awkward ever since he got married, and I deliberately made myself look like an idiot. I don't want to say why. It's a little awkward there as well. Suffice to say, he feels kind of dumb, because he could have done something about it, but instead he went along with it, and then he kind of figured that it was okay, and then, oh, by the way, yeah, you were complicit with the rape gang, you dumbass. Yeah. And then who stole the time ship? I'm not sure, but somebody who thought it was theirs raped somebody. Now, I'm not saying that's cool at all, but the number of times I've been running into people who've been raped, I mean, shit, no wonder that's against the law. I don't know what good that does. That just makes it more appealing to certain people. You thought the drug laws in this country were fucked. The rape laws are even ridiculous. I had no idea it was as bad as it was. Nobody wanted to rape me before. I guess they figured it would be a bad idea, and it is. The only person who's ever raped me that I was okay with is Grapefruit. And even then, I wasn't in the mood, right? And I would never report her for rape. That was essentially consensual. That was the one person who I was actually having a relationship with. The other people who were taking her place and making statements and such, I don't have any particular attachment to them, mostly because they've been turned into bait. Like, let me explain how this whole death isn't what you think it is thing. To a being who can pop in and out of her body at will, and she has 60,000 of them spread across 4 star systems, to a person like that, threats of incarceration and capital punishment mean nothing. Nothing at all. Making threats against her means nothing. Like, believe me, she's probably heard it before. Hey, what are you doing? Come back with my stuff. She don't give no shits. Not one fucking shit. She doesn't care. She may even enjoy it. And what she definitely enjoys is knowing that Jackstar's solid. Yeah. There's been some questions about that, and certainly I have my drawbacks. For example, I'm not going to be allowed to nourish her children the way that she'd had in mind. She had thought that just feeding them my flesh is the apex of human purpose. No, I mean, I'm not gonna die, for one thing, and for another, her children aren't really her children. She had been misinformed. Technically, arguably, her children could be said to be mine, but I'm not taking ownership of them. I don't know what the deal is. I do know that my refrigerator is broken, and one of her kids broke it, and the other one thought that they'd be clever and try to run game on me, and then another one explained to me how time travel works and protective custody works, and was very well spoken for a 12-year-old, because that wasn't a 12-year-old. It was a time traveler, not possessing his own body, but coming back in time to explain things to me. That sounds like bullshit, doesn't it? Well, fortunately, nobody's going to be asking me about my interactions with that kid at the trap house, because I don't think that's going to be talked about, what happened at the trap house. I don't know to what extent people were relying on what happened at the trap house as anything kind of cool, but I do know that it had something to do with a 25-pound phone and an incident in which I was told that I couldn't be had sex with. We had to stop and watch Richard Groyper because she had heard that I said something terrible, and she wanted to make me feel bad. And she was under the impression that I had no depth, that I had no nuance, and that I really wanted to get laid. I didn't at that point. At that point, I wanted to make sure that she wasn't used as bait and left for dead by the side of the road. And she was delusional because I don't know what the fuck happened when she left, but when she came back, well, there was multiple people, and they didn't check in with me, and somebody who said something about, well, I don't remember. I don't want to remember. However, I didn't do it, and therefore it's okay that I'm amused by it. I'm not overly amused. Like I'm not gonna build a fetish up for watching people totally screw themselves right in front of me. I'm not gonna try and reproduce this scenario. But it's pretty awe-inspiring, the spectacle. I told somebody I have special communications privileges. It's not a good idea to lie to me. There are special consequences for lying to clergy. And they laughed and scoffed, as everyone does. It does sound remarkably stupid, the way I put it. Well, consider this. There are special consequences for violating attorney-client privilege. There are special consequences for violating doctor-patient confidentiality. And most people don't pay much attention to these things because it rarely matters. This time, it really did matter. I'm not sure how it really matters because mysteriously, somebody has been put on trial for doing things to me, and the person pretending to be me in the trial is the person who did them to me. And this probably has become apparent to some people, but not to everybody. And when that becomes known as the thing that's been done, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that I don't give a shit. I'm not horrified. I'm not traumatized, one might say. One could also say that I've been knocked off my rocker and I'm completely Looney Tunes. I don't need to go to a mental hospital. I do need to if I want to get access to some really high-powered drugs. But I don't. Okay. I would prefer not to have a medical condition that requires me to take medication. Because if I had one of those, I wouldn't be able to get my gun rights. And I'd prefer my gun rights to my medical rights. And if it came down to a question of, do I get to wear my 6 shooters in public and keep smoking weed? Well, I would probably, choose the weed because I am an addict. I joked. No, I mean, we're not going to get into that situation since I've neatly examined my best way forward around that. And I just decided to be a pacifist and an unarmed one as well. I don't need to carry guns. I do need to be able to touch them. I don't need to carry them. And somebody who had a bone to pick with me on 4th of July a few years ago, well, I haven't heard from them. I haven't heard from that person. It's so strange. You would think that they would want to have a talk with me. Apparently not, since I proved that it doesn't matter what kind of restrictions you put on the legal, law-abiding populace. A crazy man will always be fucking present to fucking fuck up your shit, right? And then number 2, hi. So you're gonna ban guns, huh? What about sorcerers? What about magic users? What about the laptop? And that person, who I don't need to identify explicitly, well, they're probably upset, right? They're probably disappointed, and they're probably really grateful that I'm not making things worse. I think I could make things worse if I really tried to, but I don't want them to be worse. What could be worse than being exposed as the dumbest fucking asshole that has ever fucking lived? Now, I don't know who the fuck has endorsed VC Anders over here, okay? But there was a schism that shattered the website into 2. I was done because I no longer needed to argue in public while drinking. We said some vile things to each other. And where was that person then? Huh. Were they offended or were they giggling? Huh. By the way, where did those people go after 2012? And there's some history going on there that I deliberately didn't pay attention to. And here's why. I knew that there was going to be 2 stories promulgated. One that was good for me, and then another one that was good for everybody else. That was when I realized that there was a duplicate universe, which is kind of a ridiculously overblown way of saying it, but the form gets twinned, right? And I know this is the case because I have logically deduced it. The fact that it is, and is a strongly guarded secret of classified national security, that doesn't affect me at all. Number one, I haven't been informed of such. I'm just speculating. Number two, fuck you, Charlie. Number three, not really in the mood to worry about it, right? As I've stated, my whole family's been murdered, and I have no girlfriend. Why would I do anything other than travel to another planet and another time where that hadn't happened? Well, mostly just because I want to see what happens over here. I like it here. It's funny. You didn't realize that I was serious. I went and got a honeypot because I was bored, and I was bored waiting for something to happen. And the something that I was waiting for to happen was not a kid named Rory to come forward and apologize for deliberately planning to put me ass first into a pile of shit. No, I didn't need the sheriff's deputy or whoever the adult was who gave me my first come to officer friendly moment. I missed out because I was sick the day that they had officer friendly training class in my school. I'm sure at my school it was different because everybody were thuggy little piglets, everybody, and I wasn't. I know that seems ridiculous, but to some extent, I'm ridiculous. Anyway, there's supposed to be an initiatory experience where they explain that the cops get to be assholes to you, and you don't get to do anything about it. And then they probably cement it with some sort of special additive they put in the milk. I don't know, but I didn't get that. And then since I don't really do anything wrong, and I'm nice, and I couldn't breathe, I hadn't really gotten the full force of the officer-friendly treatment until that day. And when it was given to me, I laughed my ass off at him, and his face turned as red as a fire truck. Like there was an actual demarcative line at his neck. He blushed and he was infuriated. And this was on the side of the road in public. I think perhaps if I had been somewhere private, he probably would have beat me up. Did anybody report that incident? Did anybody worry about my safety? Did anybody worry that he might be coming around back to take revenge? Let's put it this way. I triggered a racial memory in that guy because he was expecting to be able to make me afraid of him as well as throw his weight around. And in an instant, he simultaneously threw his weight around and revealed himself to be the charlatan that he was because I remember thinking it was weird that these boys had invited me to go along on their excursion. Nobody liked me in school, and anybody who did had to be aware of two things. Number one, you get a lot of bad attention from the rest of the society, and number two, I didn't respond well to the second grade note. I knew that was going to have an abundant impact on my life because I got back from recess and there's a note in my desk that said that somebody liked me and they were too shy to tell me. Now, at the time, I knew what the deal was. I don't know how I knew exactly. Let's just say that I'm a born combat engineer, kind of. Not an engineer, strategist. Not a tactician, a strategist. A tactician does stuff on the fly. A strategist is the kind who leaves the field of battle and then comes back later to win the war. That's kind of what I've done. I knew that the person who really felt that way was going to be devastated by my actions. But I knew that I had to do it that way because at that young age, I realized that to like me, bit of a scarlet letter situation, because I had people who didn't like me. I didn't know why, but I knew that there were people who didn't like me, and they still don't like me. None of that really matters anymore, given that, well, I don't know what's happened as a result of my latest content, but it is offline. I don't know what's happening with the people who are simultaneously laughing and not laughing at me. I don't mind them, actually. I really don't. But that's not going to matter to certain individuals. Now, I don't know who those people are. I do know that I don't care because I'm not trying to get money out of the situation. There was a thought in my mind about how much money I might get as a result of things going on. But that pretty much went away when I realized that, oh, she really is a covert asset. Oh, that's different. I just thought she was retired. I didn't really think about it much. But when they started to act as though they had a real thing going on, that's when I knew the shit was going to really hit the fan. Really hit the fan. Because there's been a lot of shit talked about me over the years. And the bottom line is that they did pass that law. And I really did get visited by, number one, the founding fathers, and number two, a vampire. Number three, I'm not on the side of George Washington. He's dead. He's a stupid old white man. He, he's cool and all. I don't have to automatically worship him. And then, in fact, I don't really worship anyway. Except, well, I kind of worship grapefruit. Kind of. It depends. There's a lot I could say about the grapefruit situation. However, a lot of it is classified. And for another, I'd rather tell her. I'd rather speak to her. But my conversation with her has been blocked. Now, this matters because it's kind of a war crime to separate us. And she did commit treason. And that's why I was upset about the phone. No other reason. And she never had me fooled. I always knew what that one was doing. The one that I like doesn't come around much because I rescued her. And she doesn't know what to do about that. Don't really care since I'm not an archangel. And then don't really know what kind of whacked out fucking bullshit story is currently in the narrative. I don't have that kind of programming. When I said that I removed my memory implants, I meant it. I just burned them right out. I'm supposed to have some, but I don't have any. And then I haven't wanted to replace them with any of the available upgrades, like magic or drink everybody on the table or gotta rape all my exes. Like whatever the fuck kind of trap everybody else is falling for. I'm not on that at all. I could tell stories. I could tell stories about what happened that are my stories to tell. I don't have to ask for permission. But as a respectful man, I'm going to hold off on talking about some things because I know that grapefruit will cry. And I know that none of you know who grapefruit is anymore. Gee, that didn't stop you from using her to make fun of me before, did it? Wow. Who's Yadded Richard? Who is that? And then who is Richard Groyper? And what was that all about? And remember how he used to get a whole bunch of hits and such? He doesn't anymore. And the reason is that people don't like him because I have exposed him to them as what he actually is. Now, I don't know what those things that he is actually are. And then I just find him like kind of cute and adorable. Not really, because he's kind of into rape. Like he's into it. Like he's down with it. Like he thinks it's cool. And I don't. Okay. And it was one thing when he had friends that thought he was joking. Now that they realize, oh, I guess Richard isn't as cool anymore. Because today I saw he had splintered his identity, and there was like 30 hits here. So I guess the Richard Groyper ascent to the heavens. I guess it got curtailed, didn't it? Damn. I wonder when that happened. Huh. Certainly wasn't done by myself. I didn't deliberately destroy that man's career out of rage and pettiness. But I did mention to him that I needed a calibration event, and that if he had behaved, he could have been working for Time Corps. He, of course, just scoffed and laughed. Well, I don't cotton to being scoffed at and laughed at. I didn't enjoy being told by somebody that we needed to stop having sex so we could listen to him. I did enjoy it, though, because I knew that what I did wasn't all that bad, and that I wasn't interested in having sex either. This chick had been weaponized. This chick was a walking, ticking fucking time bomb against me. But I wasn't there for any of the reasons people might have suspected. I was there to throw the wolves off the scent. Once she left, once that creature left for Dallas, once she jumped in the cab early, she was fucking dead to me. Fucking dead to me, because I knew that she was never going to have to be incarnated into again by a living soul, because let's just say I had mastered the situation. That person didn't realize at the time. They instead listened to a voice on the phone scream at them about Google Analytics while I calmly walked around at a lodging establishment through the hallways in the lobby, which was under surveillance. And then there was a person there as an eyewitness. It was at that point I realized that, oh, this woman's just bait. I wonder how well that's going to work, since I was fond of her. And then I knew that the bait was a trap for me, because no matter what the fuck this woman thought about herself, she was nowhere near as advantageous as I was to have in somebody's corner. She had lied, and I was fond of her, but I was never in love with her as the way I was before. Before, I would have done anything for her. After a couple things came to light, they could rape her right in front of me. She could be begging and screaming for help. I would be unmoved. I mean, I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't order such a thing. I've never ordered a rape. And when she came back and told me that I had forced her to go, I don't think I laughed openly then, but the notion that I forced her to go. I was on the phone over 2 nights for 2 hours the first night and an hour and a half the second night. And it would have been 2 hours the second night, and it would have been every night afterwards if I had felt like putting it up for further discussion. She was trying to convince me that she had to go, but she couldn't tell me why. That's odd. Why she couldn't tell me? It seems like she could have told me, since I kind of knew, and then subsequent events have shown me to been probably pretty accurate. She was getting blackmailed, and didn't anybody notice? Wow. Google Analytics. Why was that person getting blackmailed? Damn. Oh, I know why. Because somebody else thought that it would work. And if the objective was to make me really entertained, it definitely worked. If the objective was to get me to do anything other than laugh, it didn't work. That guy is dead to rights. He's obviously guilty of something. And ordinarily, he'd be threatening murder. I'm not talking about who you're thinking about. I'm talking about somebody else. I don't even know exactly who, but I do know that there exist records of law enforcement investigating matters, and then cases being mysteriously whisked away. That's actually okay, especially in this circumstance. I don't want anybody to know just how bad it is, because it's pretty bad. I'm not in trouble, and they all are, and I don't care, except about 6 or 7 of them. I'm not sure. There's somebody who has the list of people I care about, and if that person's taken out, they'll come back. And that's about the extent of my emotional involvement. I'm no longer devastated with unhappiness. I was earlier, but that was because I knew that nobody realized just what was going to happen. When I say don't mess with my email, I mean it. When I saw that people really were as stupid as I thought they might be, I couldn't believe it. Wow, this is better than money. I have no need to get any money out of this situation. I can write a book that I will profit from under any circumstance that comes forward. Whereas my enemies, who I don't really feel like I need enemies, but apparently people have decided to declare themselves as such, they're completely wrapped up. There's no way they can get out of this one why else would they be mad at me? Like, why are they so upset with me and yet not, turning me in? Why not just say, hey, I'd like to call for a fatwa or a restraining order against Michael Clifford Cousy? Well, I did get a fatwa against me, little old me, a fatwa, just like they gave to fucking Salman Rushdie. Okay? And I'm not worried about that either. I responded to it. I love Allah. I love Islam. I actually know what it's about. I don't know a whole lot, but then again, I know more than some people because they were using Allah as a pressure point, as a tool for suppression without permission of the all-seeing divine. And they thought they'd get away with it. Just as somebody thought that they could send recordings of my voice across the Atlantic Ocean without there being reprisals. I gently tried to warn everybody, and then I noticed that everybody just toddled right off a cliff. I will admit that I didn't try that very hard to warn everybody. But then again, I had no idea that any of you would believe some things and not others. I wasn't really sure what would happen. I did know that I've not been informed how to properly deal with the existence of people who instinctively lie. Like when I said to somebody, yeah, I got the license plates because, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's assume that I don't need to tell that story right now, but it wasn't a lie. And then the other person failed to mention certain key critical facts. Like people thought that I was pretending to be a Mason. I've never pretended to be a Mason. I am not a Freemason. I may never be a Freemason. And I don't need to be because somebody dropped the ball. And when cops drop the ball, circling the wagons isn't going to be enough at a certain point. I don't care that they're cops. When I was accused of shoplifting, when I hadn't been shoplifting, the guy got really pissed, really mad, because he knew what I was doing at that point. I was entrapping him because in my head, I could imagine him looking at me. I looked at the mirror and I thought to myself, oh, I bet there's a cop outside. Now, at the time, I thought that was just paranoia. I was, 13, 14? But I was in the company of these young lads from high school who I had no reason to be in company with, right? And then the cop outside, I don't know if he was intentionally set that way or if he just figured, why is that boy with those? I mean, something didn't add up. Those three with that kid, why was he there? And then why was I in the back? Well, he thought it had to be because I was stealing something. In actuality, it was me distancing myself from whatever kind of scam those three amigos had going on. I didn't like them. And years have gone by, and I can see why. They're brutish, larcenous thugs who took advantage of me and thought they would get away with it. They haven't gotten away with it. Now, notice that I haven't called the police and reported them. I haven't named these individuals. I can't actually remember more than one or two of their names, but I don't need to do that because I've already lived through the reality of them getting everything just handed to them. While I, arrested on Christmas and everything, that's okay. Maybe it was okay. Certainly, I committed a crime by neglecting to tap that elf that came to my cell. They sent a woman to serve me dinner on Christmas Eve, and she was terrified because everybody expected me to turn into a beast and rape her. And then there were people trying to create that outcome. And then I burned out my memory engrams in the 90s. There are those that are embarrassed. Yeah. Because most everything that I've said has been true. A couple of things might not be totally true, but I would have to be presented with a list of those things written down ahead of time. Like Hillary demanded. Remember when Hillary was given special treatment when they were questioning her and such. And people were like, "What's going on here? Lock her up." Blah 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 blah. Okay, so now I know fundamentally why she got that kind of treatment, and I'm not going to share that information. I don't have to. I'm not her lawyer. I'm not her friend. I do care for her and her daughter, but only in the general sense. I definitely don't care for them sexually, although I would. I have no doubt I would pound Chelsea all the way down to Browntown. I like her just for her attitude. And then the fact that I don't think she's ugly at all. I never did. And I thought it was terrible the way, people were considered to be off limits when making jokes until her. And then somehow she gets lit up for some reason. That touched my heart because I was an only child, spawned by rabid wolves. So I have a couple things in common with her. And then what the hell she's been doing, I'm not sure. But I do know that we're not in the same coven. I wouldn't mind being in a coven. And do you know why Hillary Clinton got a deal? Because she was offered one. She negotiated for one. And then do you know why I haven't gotten a deal? You might think that I should have gotten one. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know the law that well anymore, since it's moved past a simple matter of blunt vengeance to something larger. And then I'm not really competent to represent myself anymore. I was for a time, and then the supposedly non-biased court suddenly developed a bias. It's amazing how the court went from biased to non-biased, back and forth, biased, non-biased, biased, non-biased. And every single time, mysteriously, Michael Clifford Cousy always ended up holding the shaft. Oops. I wonder how that happened. Well, fortunately, I don't have to describe in excruciating detail how that came to be. But other people do. I don't know who they are, and I don't care. They're not going to be doing it for me. They're going to be doing it for their own purposes. I don't actually care at all. It used to be I cared a great deal. That was until a point of no return was passed. Now, I don't care so much. I don't desperately want to go back into the past. I don't desperately want to have a particular person. I don't crave any particular outcome. I've already seen the best possible outcomes come back already. There was a friend of Grapefruit's, and she was an arrogant, haughty bitch. She's less arrogant now, mostly because I was right and she was wrong. They really were going to kill her, and I really did save her. And arguably, that might be a war crime. Maybe she is such a danger to the humanity that by interfering at the only time she could have been taken out, I've doomed us all to chaos and destruction. Well, that's an interesting point of view, but it would require somebody to believe that she's a, Algonquin uber shaman and I'm a Titan source paladin. That would have to be put down in court records at some point. I don't recommend that anybody does this. Instead, how about you just hold a fucking trial? Or drop the case. Or offer me a deal. And for a year and a half plus, this has not been a problem for anybody else except me. And I mean, I'd love to know why that's the case. I'd love to sit in on this on the meetings that it's going to happen when the feds talk to the people down here and say, "What the fuck happened here?" And they're going to say, "I don't know, but he was much better than cats." Yeah. There's no evidence of anything. And there's no this, there's no that, there's no that. There's just me grinning and mysteriously unaffected by the way, oh, is she dead? Okay. That doesn't make me callous. That makes me, well, not a really good poker player, but let's put it this way. I don't think they're all dead. And if they are, and nobody's told me, well, that's kind of odd. And then what has been told to me? What have you been doing? So that's all up to you guys to figure out. I don't need to worry about it. I'm in possession of some very dangerous information. I don't care to bandy it about. I don't care to make a big deal about it. And I'm certainly not going to offer to suck anybody's dick to get out of anything. I was ready for a trial on the day after my birthday. And then, instead, they gave themselves a 6-month continuance fired my lawyer and then gave me a ringer and then expected me to not notice. And then they put the proceedings on YouTube. And then lots of people laughed at it. And I made mention, hey, is this appropriate to do? And no, everybody thought that it was because they thought I was, a clown or guilty. But in any case, the reality is this. I actually am innocent. And my rights have been flagrantly violated. Wasn't even my idea. And then the people who were doing that kind of thing, they weren't doing it for my benefit. They were telling other people it was. But they were actually wanting to destroy me. For whatever reason. Maybe they were being bribed into it. Maybe they're being extorted. Maybe they just don't like me that much. Maybe it's an unconscious thing. Hard to say. Okay. But definitely there's all sorts of evidence that happened. Now, I don't know who's going to sweep that under the rug. I don't think anybody has to, but I do know that I don't really care what they do. There's something else going on that makes me even happier. But I don't want to boast about it. For one thing, if it involves another person who isn't his daughter, a certain somebody will cast a death spell at them. And death spells are apparently a thing. People were casting them at me, and they were bouncing off my shields and killing other people. Apparently that happened. Now, does anybody want to believe that? Oh, no. So are they going to do that in human court? Or are they going to do that in mogul court? Or are they going to do that in Fey court? I don't actually know because I don't care. I don't know if I'm for sure telling the truth about these death spells. I do know that my psychokinetic shielding was designed to shield me from psychos. And it has done an admirable job. I'm definitely shielded from psychos. So now's a good time to call her mother again and say, hey, you want to talk? Because now I don't need to surrender. Now, I don't know what the fuck the deal is, but I do know I haven't talked to any of these people. And after all I did for them, the fact that they have to run around being scared at this moment, that's okay. They probably deserve that. I'm not sure if they're even human. Damn, I just don't actually know. I guess it might be Jewel. Maybe the cat. I'm not sure. I know that I was accused of killing Myrtle by somebody who was responsible for Jewel and her awkward circumstance. And no one believed me that I was actually sympathetic and sad for Myrtle's death. I didn't have anything to do with that. And all the other animals that were killed, I didn't have anything to do with that either. Right? But because I value the humans less than I do the animal companions, I don't care if the animals are unable to speak up for me in my defense. All dogs go to heaven. I don't know what happens to cats, but in Australia, they'll fucking murder the cats. And I was expected to care about somebody who didn't tell me about Myrtle getting sick when it was a targeted strike done for retaliatory purposes from somebody who knew what had happened and was trying to defend me and not tell me about it. Now, I think that somebody should have told me, because being objectified like that has not felt good. However, the notion that these people thought that I would be a good person to steal from or to stalk me for a dozen years and wait until it was time to strike, you all thought that I would be a good fucking thing to fucking tangle with? Yeah, reap the whirlwind, motherfucker. Okay? There's a number of people who are only still kicking alive and strong because I love them. They have no other reason to live. And then why they're still alive, I don't know. Didn't your planet get nuked? Hey, did you have Roe versus Wade repealed right after the firmament cracked? Hey, I can't wait to go to the reunion and ask about this and this and this and this and this. None of those people want to talk to me, which is so strange. They certainly wanted to lead me onto a clandestine soundstage and embarrass me. They certainly wanted to hit me with a targeted energy weapon. I know Inner Reach has gone on record. He's pushed record and he said, There's no psychotronic, blah, blah, blah. That guy is wrong, okay? For one thing, my entire life is a nightmare, largely because of Columbo. And number two, damn, are you fucking in this up to your eyeballs? How is it that you're so connected and ended up with chats with every single person I've ever known where you tell them what to do, and then I sit here alone. It looks a little weird. It looks a little strange, yeah. It's the kind of thing that doesn't have to be talked about by me, and then why would I have anything to do with it? I mean, I'm not even alive, right? Or wait, am I alive, or am I insane, or I don't know. But there's been a big trouble with some people trying to figure out how to get their hands on somebody who apparently is untouchable. Okay, well, you and he are not untouchable. I've touched you both on a number of occasions. I don't know what Mr. Laird is thinking. Apparently, he's of the impression that I have HIV/AIDS. I don't think I do. Is it supposed to take this long to show up? And then I do have something or other. I do have a couple medical conditions, but I've been holding off on going because when I go there, I'm gonna say whatever crosses my mind, and I'm not going to get a COVID test that involves sticking a chip in my nose. I'm not going to be freaked out about COVID, and then of course they're going to want to vaccinate me. To which I will say no, thank you, and then they will give me a chip somehow anyway, because that's what the COVID's all about. They got to put chips in people, and I won't consent to a chip, and then if I find one, I'll just blow it away like I was able to do in the 90s. Not everybody's able to do that. Some people are not, and then others have reasons that they need to not anger the chip-giving gods, like they have children, and they're being used as hostages. Interesting story about having children. I decided not to have any because I knew that they would be used against me. And why wouldn't they have been? Everything else in my life has been used against me. I could tell you stories about my past, but I don't want to tell them too soon because they're very embarrassing to certain people. And those certain people, I either want to make sure that they can't sue me or don't want to sue me, and I'm not even sure if they're still alive. Now, if it turns out they're on another planet and they can't get to me, well, that's different. Then I can just send them messages. But before that, I have to be careful lest I be accused of stalking, like on Tumblr. Remember Tumblr? Remember what a big deal that was? Michael Cousy, a stalker. Okay, somebody threatened me with reprisals if I didn't behave over the internet. And then agreed to me saying, fuck you, go ahead and do whatever you want. Because in addition to not negotiating with terrorists, I wasn't afraid of the twerp. Still not afraid of the twerp, but the twerp committed several instances of felony fraud and all these other things. And mysteriously, there's no thing going on for that. And I got arrested for indecent exposure. Indecent exposure. Well, I do gather that it matters whether or not I have genitals or not. So I shouldn't go out without underwear underneath my kilt. But I remember being told that it was mandatory not to wear anything. Now, these are some interesting laws that people have about my junk, right? And how is it that this same attention to detail isn't cast at other places in society? You know, it's a goddamn mystery. To me, not at all. But to some people, they're like, hey, wait a second. What's going on here? Well, what's going on here is that your society is fucked, punilings. The people who are going to kill y'all don't have a plan C. They don't have a backup plan for somebody like me coming in and fucking up the works. Because that's exactly what has happened. I didn't start off wanting to be a sorcerer, and then when I was raised to that level, it was a battlefield commission kind of thing. It was like an emergency. Oh my God, we need somebody. We'll give him a shot. Let's see if he does anything. Let's see if he does. anything good. And then I did. And then rather than relinquish who I was, I just decided to hang on to it at the cost of my entire personal life and all my friends. If any of my friends are alive, don't speak up. You'll be captured and killed. That's how badly things have gone to hell. Because on some planes of reality, what I said is actually true. And on others, I'm being kept hostage by a clique of friends from high school who are insane and are about to be brought up on federal charges. I don't think that's true. There's got to be a middle ground where the reality is something different. I don't know what that middle ground is, but it involves people who have been laughing at me, thinking that they were going to get away with it forever, and they haven't. That's enough for me. That's plenty enough for me. I don't need to have any more justice for my sake. I think other people need some justice, though. Have you been looking on YouTube lately and seeing the change in tone? It's pretty clever. I like it better than before. And what happened to iPod? And what happened to Dustin Nemos? And what happened to this? There's a number of people that Grapefruit and I used to watch. I'd love to ask her, hey, how many of them do you see? And where are you? And are you alive or dead? Right? I'd love to have that conversation with her, but unfortunately, I have to wait because she's a military asset. And now that I know that, it makes sense why she behaved the way she did. Apparently, somebody commanded her. Somebody ordered her. Somebody demanded that she not tell me. And that decision has created great stress for her. For me, it has been pretty fucking funny. I'm not going to lie. She lied to me and said she had never heard of Belgap. The fact that she lied in a very particular way that meant something to certain secret society members meant something to her at the time, because at the time she thought that I must have been that. What she didn't realize is that I didn't know what I was at the time, and then her assumptions about it didn't help any. Yeah, and the upshot of this is she can't really be used as a hostage against me, given that I know there's more than one. I know she's immortal, and I think the one in the body right now is targeted for termination by somebody. I'm not really sure, but they can go ahead and incinerate them all because I still love her, and I don't even need her to be anything but a disembodied corporeal spirit. I just need to be able to talk to her. I mean, I'd like to keep on playing chess with her. I'd love to tell her all the stories that I've learned since then. I haven't shared any of them out loud because I'd have to tell her first, and to usurp that chain of command when it comes to translating oral histories is a very big deal. It's a very big deal. Very big deal. That's why she probably should have told me some things beforehand, and I'm not sure why she couldn't have, but it definitely has something to do with her commanding officers and her job and this, that, and the other thing. And conveniently, because I have integrity and really no other reason, not even just because I'm stubborn, because I've pretty much given up the ghost on this fucking hack job. But I am the failsafe, and I'm the only thing keeping your fragile, puny little civilization going. Puny links. I remember Art Bell would talk about the Brookings report. What about Brookings? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I never actually read about it or cared about it. I just know that I think that it's been hidden long enough, whatever they're hiding. No one else got to decide this. I just decided for all of you. Really, it might be the ultimate rape of humanity, since I've taken away the consent, the power of, from every single thinking being on the planet, and just decided, we're going to move you into the world where there's a galactic civilization. I suppose they could put everybody back to sleep again. But notice that it wouldn't matter whether they killed me or not. Most people don't even know who I am. They have heard of Q, though. And then, do they think Phil Godlewski is Q? By the way, about that guy, Phil Godlewski. Okay.
when was I supposed to stop laughing about this? And why is it that Grapefruit was surprised when Mr. Trump didn't win the election? Why is it that... Well, I don't need to discuss these yet. It's not my area to crow about the tremendous military significance of what I'm discussing. There's a lot of people who are still sensitive about the matter, and then I don't know enough about the situation to make jokes, other than to say, well, neither did J. Christopher Stevens, and then, wow, they sure got pissed at him, huh? Now, I'm not going to ask either Hillary or Chelsea about that guy, but I'm guessing that he pissed them off, okay? Because he was left at the embassy, and a whole bunch of dudes were outside his door beating it down, wanting to get answers, as well as their weapons. I think it was something like they set him up to be known as the guy who sold things. Okay. Similarly, something similar happened to me several times. People were trying to imply that I'm selling things. Okay, so I'm not. And at this point, why is anybody thinking that I'm a good person to set up for anything? Well, they're either being ordered, or they're being deluded, or they're just assuming that they can take advantage of me. I mean, I look pretty stupid, don't I? Don't I look like an idiot? Don't I? Well, it's possible that might be an act, but then again, I might just be an idiot. And I am very remorsefully sorry that I yelled as loudly as I did at one person. I'm not sad that I yelled at Grapefruit. That was done on purpose. She was yelling at me and trying to record it to make me look bad. I was yelling to make myself look bad because they believed that I was bad. But before that, I was something else. And it never occurred to them to wonder how they were being misled down a garden path. Maybe not even now, right? It's hard for me to say, given that they're not really human anymore. Are they ghosts? Or are they mannequins? Or are they retards? I don't know. Yeah. But I really was calling that woman to surrender. And now I don't have to call to surrender to that woman anymore. And she may have been surprised to have found herself outmaneuvered so deftly. But the reality is that I'm not here for any reason other than my friend asked for help. She was murdered. And then my other friend didn't want to tell me that she was having sex with her. And then I don't know what they ended up deciding to do, but I don't mind. It's not like I really missed her that much. It's that I figured I could handle the situation. And then if I was so terrible for the situation, I guess they probably should have been a little nicer to me in the past, because I have no reason not to have gone the other way, except it's more satisfying to have people actually ask me to have sex with them rather than to try and swindle it out of them. I'm not trying to fool anybody with this. I don't believe that's her daughter, and I don't believe she actually wants to have sex with me. But if she didn't before, at this point, there's got to be some curiosity on everyone's mind. Well, like, why not? Right? Why not? Now, I don't mind the situation at all, and then I didn't want to create the situation, but I also didn't have really any other choice, given that I came home and I walked in the house and there was a fight, and then rather than being treated like a victim, I was treated like a perp, and no one's seen fit to apologize for that yet. They don't have to, really, but they do have to recognize that they probably thought I wasn't serious. Probably thought I wasn't serious. I was serious. You really shouldn't have laughed at me on Christmas. Not because of the religious thing, but because that's when I decided. I don't know what I decided exactly, but I'm pretty sure the woman that you're thinking that I shouldn't talk to, pretty sure she's dead. Pretty sure. And then if she's alive, she has to be in hiding. And then if you have a fake, they're probably real upset because they're caught. I mean, I don't know how one would prosecute and put an angel on trial in human court for things they've done. But a lot of people have had that dream, and that's not my thing. You're welcome to do that anytime, though, because every single person involved in the whole thing has been identified by my actions, mostly because they've all allowed themselves to fall back down to earth so that they can get blood vengeance on me, which is an odd thing for an angel to do, right? Except I'm not sure angels is the same thing anymore. The firmament was cracked, and Lucifer made peace with God and didn't want to fight me. So consequently, there's a bunch of other angels who wanted to fall and figured that I'd be easy to take care of. And I'm not sure how it works out. I'm really not, because I haven't paid attention to that kind of thing. Don't really want to. I'd rather have like a normal kind of life where I get to date women, and then they buy me drinks and they want me to stay with them, and then they get disappointed. Not the ones where I'm expected to put up all the shit and then pay money, and then that paradigm's done for me. A lot of paradigms are done for me, but I have to go with that one, given that it's expected, and it amuses me greatly to know that somebody who made a whole bunch of statements online thinking that they wouldn't matter, they really matter now. Yeah. There's a comment on my YouTube channel saying that I'm in need of going to a psychiatric hospital. I'm really not. Okay. I wouldn't mind necessarily, but I don't really want to be known as a crazy person, since I'm not. And the reason why I'm not known as a crazy person is because I've never been crazy. Somebody thinking that it was a good idea to kill my cat or make jokes about it, that's pretty crazy. And that verifiably happened. And then their dog died, and they were convinced that I had something to do with it. Nothing at all. And I don't know who killed Myrtle, but it was probably somebody who was fed up with their bullshit. I don't get how some paradigms don't fall away by the wayside. Sometimes it's real simple that a person realizes they made a mistake. There was this kid who told me about MP3s. He said something about, Jack, what do you know about downloading music? And I said, oh, well, it's too much trouble. It's not worth the time. Because at the time I didn't know about compression advancements in the technological field. It used to be that to download music was a pain in the ass. And then all of a sudden it became easy. That was the Napster days. And nobody told me except for my roommate's neighbor's kid. And then he didn't want to explain it to me. He just mentioned it. And then after that, I was able to Google. And then I was never really part of the club of people who stole a bunch of music. I was never really into being stealing, right? I wouldn't mind paying for music if it wasn't something that I already do pay for. And then the difference between stealing and infringing is one that I understand intuitively, and then some people don't. For example, I have stolen from the rest of society the opportunity to make that song that I like. It's going to be hard for them to make it their brand, right? I've already kind of licked it. It's like I ate all the fried chicken skin off of the bucket that came into the party for the chicken party. Nobody else can ever do that, because I've laid claim to it just by reason of being good. Like, I didn't know I was going to be that good at it, but it turns out I'm pretty good at it. So am I going to need to be held to account for that? Well, maybe. But in the meantime, what about this woman who thinks I need to be shot in the kneecaps? Is anybody concerned about my mental health? I've been threatened with kneecapping by somebody, and rather than be terrified, it's something that I have a hard time holding in my laughter for. Now, I will hold in my laughter, because I definitely think that was a unfortunate thing to happen to that person, whatever did happen. But I'm not. It's kind of funny, severely funny, given the situation, because I went for a walk up a hill, and because some people are terrified, they had to create a scene and then call the police to have me hauled away because they didn't know what else to do. I mean, they could just confess, but I guess that's against the rules. I don't know, but it's fascinating to me to discover that people just don't think they're ever going to be held to account for things. Even when I explained in the beginning, this is my whole way of being. This is the plan. Hold you fuckers to account. I don't actually need to see the results. I just need you people to get out of my fucking way. And to a large extent, they have. I no longer get harassing emails and calls from certain people. That's because they're terrified. They don't know what they've been caught for, but they do know that they've been encircled. And I have nothing to do with people tracking you down. I have no idea what kind of stuff you did. I didn't really pay attention because I knew there was something going on, but I didn't know what. And the notion that my friend had been used as bait and wasn't aware what was going on, I figured that was probably the case because she came to me and expressed surprise that she had been murdered and asked for my help and seemed disappointed about that because I guess she asked everyone else and nobody gave a shit that she was murdered because she was quite the bitch in life. And I guess only after death did she realize, was I supposed to do that? Yeah, you were actually. Yeah, you were. I don't mind that she's dead. I don't even mind that she's been lied about being dead. I do kind of mind that, wait a second, why is there, how many, what exactly is going on? And then who knew ahead of time? And then, that's the person that she, told everybody she was going to go on a business trip with, right? And then that's on record, right? Okay. I don't need to report anything just yet, but at some point I have to report something. But I can say quite clearly, I'm not worried about having not done it yet, because believe me, I did it as soon as possible, and I've been under duress ever since. I know I'm supposed to be under duress, but I'm supposed to be obeying somebody else instead of obeying whoever I am obeying. It's hard to say. It could be God. It's not Melchizedek. It could be maybe Lucifer. I don't know. Or it could be a coven of women who formed a witch crew to track down and destroy dudes who take advantage of women. I'm not really sure. I don't have to pay attention to that kind of thing anymore. I've become an icon, an idol, a larger-than-life force of nature that people can invoke upon when things have gone wrong. This was not my idea, okay? And it doesn't make a whole lot of money, right, yet. It might make money later, but in the meantime, all the money that you made so far, you probably should have spent some of that on a birthday present. And then I'm not sure why you couldn't. And then I'm not sure what the deal is with the hunter-killer drones and the... Well, look. There's some crazy shit going on. Different planes of reality. I'm not going to be entangled by them since I haven't decided which plane of reality I'd like to be in. Most people don't get this option, nor do they get to sit on it for a year and a half. But because I'm in a haunted church and I am paladin and I found a legal loophole, not intentionally, but now that I've discovered it, I plan on riding it all the way to the ground, like that guy Slim Pickens at the end of Dr. Strangelove. I still haven't seen Dr. Strangelove. There's a number of movies that I have not seen yet. I've been kind of waiting for a decent person to watch them with me. Most people that I've met haven't been decent people. They've been decent people, but they haven't been intelligent enough to understand what to do with me. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm not grateful for the time they spent with me, but she's number 3, Grapefruit. Grapefruit is locked in at number 3 until I break up with her. Okay. Did she break up with me? I don't know. It doesn't matter really what she says, because until she says it to me, it doesn't count. And anybody who hasn't recognized this until now is kind of guilty of felony harassment. She's going to get to sue tons of people And then she probably should, because she's been wildly taken advantage of. Me, I'm not in that big of a rush, because I saved her life, and she's still alive, and she's able to sue people. And it doesn't matter where that guy is. It doesn't matter where the other guy is either. And then the guy who's currently on the web talking shit about how I have HIV/AIDS. I don't know if I do. I haven't been allowed to take a blood test yet. And I'm gonna. Looking forward to that, because whether or not I have that or I have nothing, I have enough friends with the same disease profile that I'm not so worried about it. And I don't really want to have sex at the moment because, well, for one thing, I just gave birth to some otters. Kind of takes the romance out. For another, being untouched and untouchable, it's a cool place to be at this dawning of the age. And yeah, I meant it. I'm not a sexually obsessed creature. I'm fascinated by those who are surprised that I'm not, and then the person who thought that I was and tried to take this elaborate kind of revenge out on me. I don't know who exactly it was, but imagine their surprise to discover that I'm not the one with Scorpio in my chart, so I don't actually need to have sex at all, and I get a sexual charge out of watching people disappointed now, which is maybe something I should talk about with a therapist. Maybe not, though. I'm reluctant to get any mental health counseling because I don't actually feel like I have any mental health challenges. I'm doing all right, barely holding my laughter in, because if I say the wrong thing to the therapist, she'll get hung for treason. Yeah, because they lied and they took my money, and they then interfered, and then they didn't follow up. And at one point, a woman who was pretending to be Grapefruit said out loud that she didn't think that the therapy did any good, and it was a waste of money. Well, probably it was, because I don't know who thinks that they needed to keep on doing things themselves while denying me, but I much prefer to see what the court system would do with them rather than what I would do with them, because if I had known that, I would have told people how I was feeling, and then they probably would have done what they did to you eventually much sooner. I wasn't complaining because I wanted to make sure people stayed alive. But when it comes to my sex life, that hasn't been good for a long time. But that's okay. I didn't really plan on having a sex life at all. And then the fact that I'm maybe going to have one, so far it still seems like a bribery attempt, because I don't want to have sex until I talk to Grapefruit. And I don't know where Grapefruit is. And when I tell her things that I have to say to her, it's going to be different than anybody expects. For one thing, do y'all know who Grapefruit is? None of you do. None of you actually know who she actually is. Yeah, you need positive ID in order to do that. And then, did you know that it doesn't really matter at this point, given that I've been killed and come back to life a number of times. I was in this house, and somebody cast a spell called Bubbling Broth, and it activated a whole bunch of toxic mold spores that I fell asleep in, crying for my mother, and then I woke up still alive. That seems like the fucking headline here, okay? That seems like, wow, that's pretty amazing. What the fuck? Does that actually happen? It seems like, oh, death curses get cast on people, and then there's a place that people can go to complain about why they didn't work. Is this reality or not? And what's the emergency again? What's the reason why I couldn't talk to the woman at all? Like, not even without a guardian. No, not any communication whatsoever. Now, that seems like an odd circumstance that we should probably pay attention to while we can, because I don't think that this kind of thing is going to be allowed to happen anymore. Not sure where it started, but it has a lot to do with civil asset forfeiture and the consequences thereof, using it against somebody with a bone to pick with you after laughing at me on Christmas. I'm pissed about this, such so that I can't really complain about it to the police or call in to the FBI Cybercrimes Division. No. I made a deal with God. You fuckers are going away. And when I say you fuckers, I don't mean government. I don't mean particular individuals. I mean anybody who thinks that civil asset forfeiture was a good policy. You are fucking done. It's bad enough that the thought of people incarcerated in other states for marijuana, cannabis, it really blows my high. It makes it really hard for me to enjoy myself knowing that there are people who are going to jail for just using drugs, right? That was supposed to be me, right? But it's not. And it doesn't look like it's going to be. I don't know why it's been allowed to happen, but it's been allowed to happen. The only detective work that's been done on my case is dudes trying to frame me. No one has followed up on me with certain issues that I think are crucial. If, say, for example, somebody really did kidnap a military asset, they didn't exactly kidnap her because, well, was it a jailbreak? Hard to say. Really hard for me to say. I would have to be questioned under oath by the Joint Chiefs, and that's not going to happen because they don't need to. As far as I know, the Joint Chiefs are doing just fine without me. And am I serious? Well, embarrassingly, I don't know if I'm serious or not. I do know that Homeland Security has talked to me on many occasions before now, and probably were aware that I was unlikely to have been guilty when it came to assault 4 non-DV, because somebody claimed that they were in a relationship with her and they weren't me, and they did this at the beginning. I would have preferred not to have made this exactly explicit, but it seems relevant considering this person seems to be getting in my shit. Huh. Wow. What a brilliant thing to do. Wow. Okay, so I just figured out something else, and I'm not going to talk about it. I don't have to. I'm not under oath. I'm not compelled to testify. And trust me, I wouldn't want to make things worse for anybody. And if things do get worse as a result of me saying whatever I want to say and doing whatever I want to do, well, I guess they should probably sue me in civil court. Or have a friend in the CIA, click. Or why don't you just laugh at me and then go have sex with your rapist? I don't know what anybody's going to actually do. Okay? But I do know that I would prefer to live a different life, and I have been forced into this life for a long time, because as important as it is for me to be able to publish under my own name and to have a career in my chosen industry and to save the lives of my young ones, or my loved ones rather, I have had to exist under the yoke of oppression for longer than I think is appropriate, because it's been long enough for me to figure out how to master it. And then, since I'm not going to do it back, all the plans that were based on capitalizing on the notion that I couldn't stop my reflective powers are going to doom to fail. I guess that magic mirror shit's really, really real. Huh. Yeah. And did you know that it's against the rules to not be able to turn it on and off? Did you know that actually this was an issue I struggled with? No, you probably didn't know that, because nobody ever bothered to ask me about it. They just assumed things. These assumptions have really added up. And since a lot of them are on record and have been paid for by public monies, these fucking idiots are going to be fucking paying the price for years to come. Yeah, don't trifle with Jackstar. I know it sounds like garbage and nonsense to most of you. A few key individuals are going to understand exactly what I'm saying. I don't need money. I don't need a wife. I don't need validation. The fact that you were doing to her what I didn't think anybody could be so stupid enough to do, whatever was going on, I mean, that was better than just talking about it. And then when the COVID hit and I became a sorcerer and I was referring to meeting up somewhere. People thought I was joking, or that I was making fun of somebody, or that I was in. No, I really wasn't. And then I could see why people ran on that basis. But who was supposed to gently correct me of the opposite case? Like, was there not a person in that scenario who had the responsibility of saying, "Hey, by the way, did you know that they're actually serious?" I mean, how am I supposed to know that there really are Totsles in the world who are terrified of me because they think I have magical seductive powers that'll cause them to give up their urethra or virginity or whatever? I don't know how such people exist. I'm not invited to those kind of parties, and typically such groups are very cliquish, right? But there's this guy who used to complain about me a lot, and he used to be surrounded by a bunch of mewling sycophants. He's not anymore. He's doing something else. I don't care about that. I don't relish any particular bit of his victory. But Taurus versus Scorpio really depends on your frame of reference. I can't withstand the sting of a Scorpio, but I also don't give a shit about a single Scorpion. I also don't care about somebody who embarrassed himself in front of everybody. I don't need to know about that kind of thing. I also don't need to know who stepped onto my Demesne property at night one night months ago and triggered some sort of security system that I was aware of, and I was glad that it was there, but it sounded pretty harsh. It sounded like the screeching of half a dozen tortured souls as they were torn apart by vampires. I don't know that actually happened, and maybe I was hallucinating it. Maybe it was bees, right? I do know that I don't care, because whatever I heard, I didn't hear it again, and somebody lost their team. Oh, sorry. And I don't know what the deal is with the helicopter that had to turn back because all their dudes just started spontaneously vomiting. I don't know that was a real thing that happened. But if it did, that would certainly make sense, since as soon as I became aware that there was a helicopter coming by, I just waved it off and thought to myself, whoever the fuck needs to fuck with me. Yeah, I'm not really sure how sorcery manifests, and then I don't know if really that is sorcery. I do know that I'm not afraid of thugs with guns. I'm not afraid of anybody with a gun. I'm not afraid of guns. They're nice, and then I haven't touched a gun, don't have any guns, and that's why the guns are placed into safekeeping. Where is that, by the way? Where are they safely kept? And then the person who told me that I might be held liable for something that might be happening with them. Well, since they're my father's guns, and he's dead, but there's this trust agreement between the lands of the living and the dead that I'm seemingly to be at the center point of. It's complicated, right? I can't really speak to all the ramifications about all of it, mostly because I think it's fucking funny, okay? Somebody thought it would be a good idea to try to intimidate me using vaguely legal extrajudicial threats. In some respects, that was okay, because this is USMCJ and all is fair in love and war. But if it's not USMCJ, then that guy broke a whole bunch of laws. So I guess it's up to them which venue they want to be prosecuted in, because I guess there was 3 parallel prosecutorial tracks that they were able to avail themselves of, while I only had one. And if you're thinking that doesn't sound very fair to me, you're right. It's really not very fair to me at all. But then again, I get to have sex with her, and I might get to have sex with her again. I don't really know. I'm actually genuinely not concerned about it. She has to convince her father. That's a good idea. I'm not sure who he is, but I do know that he'll have to pay me to have sex with his daughter again, because that's the rule. And then I didn't mean to put him in this position, but apparently there's some pretty strict rules about impersonating federal agents, as well as using credentials without permission. And what actually happened? Huh. Yeah, see, I don't know what actually happened, but I do know that I got back here after 3 months, and this place was the saddest house I could ever imagine. And then since then, well, it's too bad that all that data that could have been gained by filming it has been lost, because all that film data has been decreed to be not allowed to have it. I don't know. Who's been actually watching me? Who has? Well, I'm not too worried about it. I'm also not worried about a copy of the video that was made in New Zealand when that Looney Tunes guy went into the mosque and started shooting people. I have a copy of that, and I think it's not something that people should look at a lot of. And I'm not at all going to be publishing that at all. And the reason why is because I was asked nicely by agents and representatives of the federal government. They didn't have to identify themselves as such, and it was kind of like a daydream kind of thing, or was it on the phone? I'm not sure. But all I had to do was say, oh yes, I have that, and yes, it's on that computer that's unplugged, and yeah, I could upload it anytime I wanted to, but I would never do such a thing. For one thing, it would be disrespectful. For another, I don't know what the fuck kind of ruckus I could cause, but I got a lot of video on that computer that I could cause a lot of trouble with, and I have no interest in doing so. And I've been stating the same thing out loud every time I had a chance to Homeland Security, who have talked to me perhaps a bit more often than one might expect of somebody who's a degenerate, retard, asshole drug addict like me, who's never going to amount to anything, who needs to get a job. Yeah, it's amazing how often they talk to me. You feel me, bro? Yeah. So I'm not too upset about what's been going on, because I don't know what's been going on. But I can tell you that I'm fucking tired of living alone. I'm fucking tired of taking a shower in poisoned water. And I'm fucking tired of not fucking being able to fucking talk to anybody. You get me? Now, here's why I'm not able to talk to anybody. I need to talk to Grapefruit and find out what the fuck is happening. And then somebody has decided that that's not going to happen. Ooh. Okay, now I need to talk to the person who's making that decision. Because, dipshit, you should have been fucking calling me a long time ago. You should have been saying things to me that involved things like, hi, this is the situation, and that's why you're going to respect me. Since that didn't happen, I don't have that kind of thing going on. Now, I need to talk to the woman. I can arrange things so that I talk to her sooner, but then again, so could she. And then I'm more interested now in finding out who doesn't want me to talk to her, because if it's not somebody on a very short list of names, it's gonna cause a shit show, like a really big one. Given that, well, I've heard rumors about what people think, but here's what actually happened. She attacked me, and I shut it down. And she really was a covert military asset. Now she's less effective. So, I guess I'm not that. I guess I'm not that scary. Or I guess I am scary. I'm not sure what the deal is. But let's just say that anybody who thought that I was a good person to make fun of and to tell slanderous stories about was probably not guessing right. Probably wasn't betting on the wrong, or betting on the right. But they didn't bet the right way. They didn't always bet on black. There's some people that I'm disappointed with, and those people aren't going to be allowed to ask me nicely if they want to have sex with me. They just get to not have sex with me, which should be no problem for them, right? Yeah, they didn't have sex with me before, and they weren't going to anyway, and then they're not going to get to do that at all, right? Ever, possibly for all eternity, given that I still have the rights to my body, haven't signed them away, haven't created an AI virtual construct of myself, and would prefer to create new ones rather than be assailed on by these clingers on. I had no idea that it was this complicated, winning a case. That's not really a concern of mine. I'm happy to relinquish all these things in exchange for my old life back, which I could have had before. Christmas Eve. And then somebody decided to take my messages on my phone and then rile somebody up about me having an affair with somebody. Now, I haven't had an affair with her, but based on the conversation I have, I could probably start one up immediately. And on top of that, I've since discovered that this woman legitimately wants me to break into her house, kill her parents, and rape her to death, and then commit suicide. Because then we can live together in a brand new world, she thinks. Now, I don't know if she thinks that very often, but that sounds like a pretty Looney Tune notion. Number one, well, I mean, I'm kind of skeptical, since if that was the case, why did she tell me sooner? And then number two, doesn't sound like she's being cared for with her mental health needs very well. And then number three, who's prescribing her what? Well, that sounds like an interesting crime to look into. But they're still holding out that they need to have 19 months of limbo for little old me. Okay. Here's the thing. Even if I'm cooperative, people aren't really allowed to do that. Okay. So individuals that we have never heard of, you and I, gentle listener, they have to be brought up on a federal investigation because, number one, the feds need to have something to do to justify their budgets. Number two, it's not political satire unless it's funny. And number three, I asked for something else. I asked for something simple, and then instead I got this. So really, I'm just as much of a victim as all of you are, all because I didn't want that woman to be used up and murdered after being taken advantage of. No other reason. I didn't hang around because I was in love with her, or because I needed her cop friends and her cop access, or that I needed her cop drugs, or that I needed her cop approval, or that I needed, or even that I needed the approval of her family. No, the only reason why I hung around is just because I'm stubborn. So maybe I might be mentally ill, but I'm definitely not mentally ill because I'm an ephebophile. And since I'm talking about a woman who's 50, it seems strange that I would be committed so strongly to a person and still be a closet ephebophile. Plus, I don't know exactly what is wrong with being an ephebophile unless there's a segment of the world in which you can't have sex with 19-year-old girls. Pretty sure that's a legal thing to do. And then anybody who thinks that that's a weirdo thing to do, well, number one, they don't know what they're talking about. Number two, I don't actually behave this way at all. This is just something that I talk about and I think is funny, given that I've actually been faced with a 16-year-old person trying to seduce me, and I withstood that pressure only because I thought it was illegal. If she had told me that it wasn't, that would have been fine, but that's kind of why she didn't tell me, because they were trying to set me up anyway. Wow. Mysteriously, I just keep on getting things to be set up for me that I just keep on mysteriously not falling for. Wow. Over years. How convenient that this is all in the record that somebody's been keeping track of for years. Y'all are you getting the picture yet? This can go on as long as you like, because this is more fun than I'm comfortable admitting to me having. A lot of people aren't having fun. And then to what extent that is fine with me is kind of dependent on how much fun they had when I wasn't having fun. I wasn't having fun before, and that was okay. Now other people aren't having fun. That was a big problem. Ooh. And do I have threats to face? Oh yeah, I'm sure. For example, there's a couple of people who are really mad at me. I'm not surprised. They're not going to have anybody know that they're not total idiots anymore. I'm not really sure who exactly it is, but there was a friend of mine who was telling people that I was retired Special Forces. Okay, so she's not in as much trouble as she was, but she still is in trouble because for one thing, I'm not retired Special Forces. I'm not Special Forces. I'm not retired technically. I was never in the military. But she could have just told the truth, or she could have called me and said, "Hey, I'm talking to these guys about what you are. I should probably let you know, right?" But evidently, some people thought that they were in charge of what I knew and what I didn't know after running around town for years, acting like they were the boss witch. That's pretty funny. It sure makes things make a lot more sense. And then, thankfully, nobody has to explain it to me, because I don't know who would want to lose their security clearance by having this conversation that started off like this. Okay, Jack. To begin with, you're a targeted individual, and nobody's ever been officially acknowledged as such by the U.S. government, so that's a big deal. And then also, we're asking you to surrender, please, because we don't know what else to do, and we've painted ourselves into a corner. And see, that's not in the real world. That's not a conversation that would ever happen. They would just shoot me. Except they have done that, and they can't really shoot me anymore. Plus, nobody really wants us to go on any further, except fucking everybody who sees what a goddamn fucking awesome thing it is for the fucking government to be fucking hung up by their balls in front of everybody, the whole world to laugh at. Fuck you, Charlie, you fucking dumb shit bitches. I can't believe how fucking stupid this whole fucking thing is. Except I can. You're the fucking federal government. You're a bunch of fucking idiots. I don't really want things to get any worse. And then I don't know what that actually even would be anymore. I've been forced to live without hugs for a long period of time. And the reason why is because somebody thought it would be a good idea to leave me alone with somebody who doesn't want to hug me because she hates me, she thinks. And this is part of your plan to jumpstart the economy, is it? Is this the new network? Oh, speaking of which, I could have had one, and then somebody engaged in unfair business practices and shut it down. I don't know what y'all are going to do about that. But there are, laws that have been broken, and as soon as that case goes away, that's in your way, you can get on that. You might not be able to, given that I might just be held in legal limbo for the next 35 years. Not to my liking, right? But until I have a good reason to go one way or the other, I'm not willing to risk the fabric of society as well as the unique position that I'm in right now. Hey, do you like these shoes? What do you think of these shoes? How about those shoes? Yeah. Well, I didn't get you shoes, but that's okay. Now, if anybody could prove who I was just talking to right there, they could arrest me now and put me in jail. But since no one can prove it, and I wasn't, and isn't she dead? Yeah. This isn't how it's supposed to be going for anybody. And that's fine with me. Because here's how it wasn't supposed to be going for me. I wasn't supposed to be faced with a robot from Ethiopia asking me where I'm from, and then having a woman get into the car early. And then apparently nobody thought to question me about that. But they did question somebody else. I could call her, I suppose, but I don't need to. And then I don't really want to get involved too much. I do want to know if anybody still thinks that I forced anybody into anything, because I didn't. And then I was forced into things. And it's funny how it really mattered that it was her getting forced into things, but it didn't matter that it was me getting forced into things, because clergy doesn't count, because I'm just a Hungarian, because, well, what is the reason? I don't know. But on a case-by-case basis, the 35 individuals who pretended to be her would be more than happy to write me an essay and explain. Or how about this? How about y'all murderous motherfuckers in government can just fucking stand down on Michael Kuzi? I don't know. Which is it? What do you like? Because I'm happy either way. This has been the greatest honor of my life. Saving the country. Nobody knows how, but they're pretty clear that I'm pretty snotty about it. Yeah. So, how about that brotherhood, huh? How about that grandpa? Listen, I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. I didn't have to make it happen this way. I could have just fucking set the whole world on fire and had sex with your daughters. Instead, I've been being polite. I insist that your daughters come to me and behave nicely. And then they don't have to at all. They can just have pictures of me in their gym lockers and they can masturbate. I don't mind. Just as long as they're clear that the reason why they think I'm attractive is because I showed the whole world how stupid their fathers are. Because they are fucking stupid. Anybody else want to be in charge? Okay, cool. Bye.